So today we're going to be looking a little bit more at fractions. Now we know what a fraction is, and that is an object or a number of objects split into equal parts. So for instance, we could have an object split into quarters and we take one of those quarters. That would look like this, 1/4 or 1/4. And that would mean that we have one object split into 4 equal parts. And of course we'd colour one of those in because we are talking about one of those 4 equal parts. Now we could have another fraction here and we could have 5/8. And again, what would that mean? Well, it would mean that our object is split into 8 equal parts and 5 of those are coloured in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 of those are coloured in, which means 3 of those are not coloured in. Now those are the fractions that we are used to. However, what about fractions that we're not used to? Let's have a look at improper fractions. Now, an improper fraction is where the top number, or the numerator, is larger than the bottom number. So, for instance, we could have 8 halves. And what that would mean is that we have our one object and we split it into halves because we're talking about halves. And we can colour in 1, 2 of those halves. So at the moment we have 2 halves. Well, guess what? We need more halves. So I'm going to draw another object and split that into half. So now we have 3 halves, 4 halves. Still don't have enough. So now we've got another object, 5 halves, 6 halves, and yet another object of 7 halves, 8 halves. So right now we have 8 halves. They are 4 objects, 4 whole objects, but that equals to be 8 halves. Now we could have another fraction. Let's have a look at 7/4. Well, we obviously get our object and we split it into quarters. And we can colour in 4 of those quarters because we know there are 4 quarters in a whole. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're at 4, except we need more. So I'm going to get some more quarters and split that into quarters, of course. We've got 4, 5, 6, 7. So what that means is we now have 7 quarters. 7 quarters. Now we can write that slightly differently because, well, it shows here that we have one whole object and 3 quarters. So our mixed number, which is a new way of thinking about fractions, our mixed number now says one whole object and 3 quarters. Now that is the same as saying 7 quarters, but it is a mixed number fraction. Let's do some more mixed number fractions. Let's have our mixed number fraction of 3½ Now what that means is it's got 3 objects, 1, 2, 3 objects, and we're talking about all of those objects. So we'll colour them all in, and we now have 3 whole objects. So we've got the 3, but we don't have the half. All we need to do is add one more object, but we've got to split that one in half. So now we have 3½ objects. Here's our 3, and here's our half. Now if we were to count all of those halves, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So our improper fraction would be 7 halves. 7 halves. That is the link between improper and mixed number fractions. Improper fractions have the numerator bigger than the denominator, and mixed number fractions have a whole number as well as a proper fraction, so a fraction that has the numerator smaller than the denominator. To recap that again, an improper fraction has the numerator larger than the denominator, and a mixed number fraction has a whole number as well as a smaller fraction. I hope that covers the difference between improper and mixed number fractions. In the next video, I'll show you how to convert from an improper fraction to a mixed number fraction, and from a mixed number fraction back to an improper fraction. See you later.